'68 Pontiac GTO. This car was actually technically found in a field. I did know the gentleman that owned this car before. I've known this car for many years. He owned it for probably 20 to 25 years is my best estimate, prior to myself. And this car was basically left to die. It was completely gutted. There's no interior, hardly. The interior that is there is interior that I put in place for the reason that this car is what it is, which we're going to get into, so hang tight for that. But anyway, this car was nothing but a shell. I'm going to add in some pictures to the video right here. As you guys saw in the pictures, this car was basically just a shell, no interior. I believe it had a 400 and a transmission in it, automatic transmission. But anyway, this car was like basically nothing. I got it super cheap because one, you know, I knew the gentleman, like I said, that owned it before, and two, like it was nothing but a shell that had been completely gutted of pretty much anything valuable. Okay, so why did this car get transformed into what it is today? All right, so the GTO has a 4.2 inline six from a 2007 GMC Envoy. This is the Vortec 4200, Atlas 4200, as a lot know it. And it's there because the challenge in which I participated and built this car was built for a budget build challenge, and basically the only major stipulation was that the car could not have a V8 for the engine. So I guess in theory, you know, you could have had a V10, or you could have had a V6 or an inline six or a 4-cylinder, but obviously the main thing, like I said, no V8. So the idea is to get you thinking, you know, outside the box, of other ways to basically make a cool hot rod. And what I was thinking was, one, I had already purchased this car previous to this challenge, and I got it cheap enough that it fit within the bounds of the budget enough to basically make me think, okay, I could do something cool with this and then still remain under the budget, and everything, you know, would be all right. Looking on the internet, looking at horsepower numbers, looking at availability, looking at cost, looking at the platform, I landed on the Atlas 4200, and there are quite a few good reasons for that. One, it's extremely light. This engine, you know, dry, I believe, with accessories, weighs somewhere around 500 pounds, maybe actually a little less. That might sound like a lot, but I mean, you have to think, this thing came with a cast iron V8, cast iron heads, cast iron intake, a transmission that was, you know, gigantic and heavy, and of course, you know, all the rest of the stuff that the car would have. But anyway, long story short, these engines are light. They make good power. They make about 300 horsepower. They're unique. You don't see them a lot in swaps. Everybody can put a, you know, an LS in something, and a lot of people can put this in something too, but the difference is I'm the one who actually decided to do it to a '68 GTO. But anyway, I was trying to find a platform for this car that would be different enough to grab people's attention, to be cost effective, to perform well, and to win the challenge was the ultimate goal. Now, when it came to the transmission, I had a few options. First thing that popped into my mind, 4L60s, abundant, cheap. This one came with the car, so that's great, but also not really that fun in a muscle car, and not really able to handle abuse, to be honest. So I decided to make a post and figure out if I could find an AR5 from a Chevy Colorado. So I got on Facebook, made the post, and somebody responded and said, "Hey, I've got one sitting in my shop. You're welcome to purchase it for a reasonable price." We agreed on a price, which I thought was very fair, and thus the idea of marrying the 4200, already a great engine, with a 5-speed manual transmission really kind of got my gears turning as far as an option to make this car really cool. We're at this point, we've got the shell of the car, we've landed on the 4200 Vortec as the power plant for this thing, and we've got the AR5 5-speed transmission selected as the gearbox. And also, basically what happened was I purchased this AR5 and then I immediately posted the 4L60E on Facebook and got the same amount for it that I paid for this. So I basically got the AR5 for nothing. Engine, transmission, body. Okay, perfect. Now we gotta make the swap happen. All right, let's check it out. All right, so for a little bit closer look at the car and what it took to make this swap happen, I'm gonna start up here in the engine bay. All the 4200s come with a front sump oil pan. And not only is it a front sump oil pan, but it is a front sump oil pan that's probably like 9 inches deep. One thing about that is that it makes the swap very difficult and really undesirable for a platform like this. So the first thing I had to do was make an oil pan for this engine. And if you want to see how to do that, your best bet would be to find another video on YouTube, because I didn't film any of mine and it was kind of a mess anyway. So the factory engine mounts in the Envoys are actually cast and they bolt to the side of the block, as you can see here. And what I had to do was make a standoff on the frame, which I've got gusseted right there. Sorry for the lighting. So I had to make a frame mount for each side. This is the driver, and we'll take a trip around to the passenger side. Again, sorry for the lighting, but there's the one for the passenger side. And basically I used the factory engine side mount and then made those mounts for the engine to frame. At that point, I was able to set the engine in place and start kind of planning how everything was going to go around it. I did purchase the flywheel from MTech. And so I was able to mate the AR5 with a clutch from a, I believe, 2008 Hummer is the clutch that was selected, because I figured it would probably be the most robust from the factory clutch offering, since that vehicle did weigh quite a bit. All right, so next up, wiring. There are a couple of options that you can go with as far as engine management systems for any swap. Retaining the factory computer let me keep all the good things, get rid of the bad things, and basically make the swap kind of seamless and easy. Okay guys, so here we have a look at the wiring. All the engine management wiring is actually located on the driver's side of the car. So anything engine related, there's actually a fuse block tucked back in there. We have another fuse block, a few relays, but anything engine related is located on the driver's side. And then anything safety related, I'm talking about like headlights, taillights, turn signals, etc., is all located on the passenger side. So the wiring for the car is divided into two. So if I need to troubleshoot lights, I come to this side. If I need to troubleshoot engine, I come to this side, and everything is separated as it needs to be. One of the last major hurdles that I ran into when performing this swap is that the A-body cars, the GTO, the Chevelle, those cars of the 60s, were all a mechanical clutch, so that they had a mechanical linkage driving a clutch fork that actuated the clutch disc and everything. Those cars all had mechanical clutches. All the Colorados and anything that had the AR5 was all a hydraulic clutch. So if you are going to do this swap on this car, specifically with an AR5 or any other manual that has a hydraulic clutch, just know that you're going to have to deal with that when it comes to locating a clutch pedal assembly and putting the hydraulics that you need in the car. I might insert a few pictures right here. That kind of gives you an idea of what my pedal assembly looks like and how it kind of went together. But anyway, it is mounted underneath the dash of the car in the right position so that I can get my foot on it, still have enough room for the brake. And of course, the throttle pedal in this car is from the Envoy. It's electronic throttle. It's, you know, drive-by-wire, so I had to mount the electric throttle pedal inside the car. But anyway, that pretty much sums up what it took to put the 4200 and the AR5 in the GTO. This car is really fun to drive. I'm gonna hopefully get some driving footage, make a video for you guys. So, you know, like and subscribe if you've made it this far. And when I'm working on this car, you guys will know what I'm talking about, how I got here, and you know, how we're gonna progress this car moving forward. So, thank you for watching. Check out my other videos. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't. I'm planning on making more content on this car, and then we have some other projects. We have the Olds Jetstar that I do have a video on, and I'm planning to make more. So there's a lot to do on this. There's a lot of other projects. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and we'll see you in the next video.